Hi, in this video we will be talking about private label source code or private label software. You see, most people don't even know where to start with private label software except stamping their names on it and selling it. While money can be easily made in this niche by adding features, removing features, and making the software unique and not just like everyone else, you can increase your profits and increase your product's value. So, you'll learn how to change software even if you don't know any code or if you've never really touched programming before. So as a former programmer, I will show you little tips and tricks on how you can go about this. Now, finding private label source code is not as easy as finding private label ebooks and private label audio. What that means is just that it's not widely available just because not a lot of people are producing software sort of specifically for private label source code rights. You can find private label source code simply by going to Google and doing a search on private label source code or private label software, any of the two. And what you're looking for is pieces of software applications that have rights to it that allow you to change the software in itself, not just stamp your name on it. The ones that allow you to just stamp your name on it, we call it rebranding. So keep your eye out for private label source codes that allow you to not only stamp your name on it, but it allows you to do just about anything you want, just like adding features, removing features, and things like that. So in this video tutorial, I'm going to give you an example of a hypothetical situation where we have a piece of software that solves a certain problem. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's say that we hypothetically have a piece of software that is a newsletter autoresponder. So our market would definitely be people who have a newsletter or would want to build their list any way that they would like to. Let's say, for example, that the newsletter autoresponder has these following features. So it has the basic features like it can send newsletters, it can send basic emails, send emails that are HTML based and text based. Let's say that it has a follow-up, but it doesn't have things like news templates. So we'll say that it has the following stuff above, but it doesn't have tracking. It doesn't have newsletter templates, especially for people that want to build HTML templates and something that looks nice. So basically right now I'm doing a brainstorm method. Basically I'm listing out what they have and basically what it doesn't have compared to perhaps what is already out there, or things that you know people want and people need, but it doesn't have. And it doesn't have a feature that allows you to take previous emails and import them as into your autoresponder without having them subscribe every single time. Tracking doesn't track IP addresses, and it has a double opt-in feature for confirmation. So we'll just keep it simple. We'll just keep it at that. And let's go ahead and move on from that point. So let me explain the reason why I'm listing little features that the newsletter autoresponder doesn't have. The reason why I want to do that is specifically so that when I'm actually hiring a programmer to do it, or I'm changing it myself as a programmer, then what I'll do is I'll add the features, or if it doesn't have it, then I will add those features. So this is a great way to start listing out things that you like to see happen for the software, and perhaps you see some features that could be even removed, so that when you remove them and you add new features, then you make the software product so unique that it's not the same product perhaps that 1,000 other people are actually selling. Okay, so now that we have made a list of things that we'd like to see, versus what it has, then we can actually go and find a programmer. Now I am going to assume that you know nothing about programming, and with that in mind, I would recommend that you use sites like scriptlance.com or rentacoder.com. And the reason why that I recommend these two sites is they have been around for a long time. And not only that, a lot of the programmers, there's more programmers at scriptlance.com and rentacoder.com. The problem is that sometimes you go to other sites and they might have a limited supply of programmers. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the trick is to find places that have a high volume of programmers or certain people that you're looking for. If they have a high volume of programmers, then on the programmer side of the view they have more competition, which makes it good for you, because when you write out your specifications for what you want to see or what you want to have added to the software, then you'll have a lot of people specifically that are knowledgeable in that program language, and they'll actually come and bid on your program. So whenever you're dealing with softwares generally like this, if it's like PHP based, then you could probably gauge it and say that it's maybe $100 or $200 or a couple of hundreds. Now anytime that you deal with a software language like Visual Basic 6, VB.NET, Delphi, or things like that, Windows based softwares, then the price range generally moves up. But anytime you deal with PHP and MySQL, there are a more supply of programmers out there that know how to do that, therefore it lowers your costs. So as you can see here, know what program language the software is written in before you buy it. So as we mentioned earlier, PHP and MySQL are both open source programming languages, so you'll have a higher percentage of people that use it. So PHP and MySQL, those are web-based applications. What that means is that they're internet-based, so that you can use them with the internet. VB6, VB.NET, and Delphi programs languages are mostly Windows-based applications. What that means is that, as you can see on Windows, you can actually use these applications to produce Windows-based applications. Okay, so now that you know that, now that you know what the software script is made out, let's say that our program is a PHP and MySQL application. So now that you know that, what you can do is you can actually create the specifications. What are specifications? Basically, all that means is basically something for the programmer to know how to program, or how to go about adding or removing features to your actual program. So specifications is just a technical word for how to add or remove features to the software. So specifications is the defining point of whether your costs are going to go up or they're going to go down. Now here's what I mean by that. If you create specifications that are very detailed and they tell the programmer exactly step by step what you would like to see in detail, then your costs generally go down. So the main point here is that make your specifications. Once you do that, your costs actually go down. If it's too general, like I've seen many cases many years ago where I'd go over the Rent-A-Coder or Scriptlance, and somebody would say something like, I want a clone of this newsletter product, or I want a clone of this, or I want a clone of MySpace. Well, here's the thing. If you tell a programmer that you want a clone of something, then you're going to get a lot of bids of people imagining things, and most likely they'll bid, but most likely you're going to make it harder for yourself in the long run. So the more specific that you get, the lower your cost is mainly because you help the programmer give you a more detailed quote of what they would actually charge in specific times, and they would actually know how to go about doing that. So be specific. And the question is, how do you become specific? So we'll scroll up here and we'll actually copy this, and I'll go back down here and I'll paste that here. So your goal is to add features. So specifications, and the reason why I want to type the specifications first is that you want to do this beforehand, and then after that you can actually go onto rentacoder.com or scriptlance.com and actually submit your project specifications. So right now we're looking at newsletter autoresponder program, and we can say that I would like to add some features to my existing newsletter autoresponder script. The script is written in PHP and MySQL. The one thing about scriptlance.com and rentacoder.com is they allow you to choose programmers, or even tell programmers that your project is written in PHP and MySQL. That way you target people who are in PHP and MySQL. And when you do that, then you get people who are programmers in that area. So they're not guessing or things like that. So you say the script is written in PHP and MySQL. If you are interested in this program you have written. One thing I always do is that I ask people for demos of their previous programs that they have written. Just because there's a lot of people out there that are going to automatically bid on your project without even reading your specifications. So this is sort of like a, hey, give me your demo before I actually want to hire you type thing. Please message me in the private message board for more details. And you can do this with scriptlance.com if it's a one-set offer. And with rentacoder.com, you probably could do it, but I think you have to give a little more details. The reason why I use this method of saying, hey, message me in the private message board before you ever actually bid on it, that way I can discuss with the programmer. You can actually tell if the programmer actually wants to know more details. And here's a way to figure out whether that programmer is reliable or not. Do they ask enough details to find out about the program and its details? Or are they the type of person that just goes ahead and bids or reacts immediately without even finding out more about your details? Because you want somebody who is detail oriented, and that's a great way to find programmers that are reliable, and they will usually charge cheaper. Let's say that, for instance, that they do message you. If they do message you, then you can give your actual specifications. You can say something like, my software script, as you can see, is written in PHP MySQL. So far the programmer sends newsletters, sends emails, has a follow-up feature, double opt-in feature for confirmation, and more. Okay, there's an example of a software script specification. What I did was I took the actual features and the features that I wanted and explained them in detail. What I said was, my software script, as you can see, is written in PHP and MySQL. So far the program can send newsletters, send emails that are HTML text based, has a follow-up feature, double opt-in feature for confirmation, and more. And you might also want to include a copy of the script just so that they can look over it and give you a better estimate. That way you allow the programmer to do a little more work in finding how much time it actually takes them to produce the actual script additions. If you allow them to see that, then they can actually see whether or not they can actually go about that. That way that you're not playing a guessing game and they're not actually guessing, oh, I can do that for $2,000, or if somebody actually looks at it and they say, oh, that's easy, I can just do it in a couple of hours. I'll charge you $25 an hour, $75. So you just saved yourself, a couple $100 just by using that method. And then you say, after you tell them what the features are, you give them the script. It is for the script to track the emails that are sent out, so some sort of tracking device or tracking script. Track IP addresses of people who signed up, the ability to add newsletter templates, and an import leads feature that allows me to add emails without people having to confirm their email address. So basically you want to do it in detail. Once you've done that, you can actually go to rentacoder.com and scriptlance.com and post the project. So after you've done that, you want to find people who message you on the board, and then you want to talk to them specifically and view their feedback, view what they have produced in the past, because you use that as a method of finding whether or not the programmer is good or not. And lastly, after choosing a programmer, make sure that you escrow your money. What that escrow means is that you put your money into a safety deposit online so that they can see that they will be paid, and you have done your part by putting that money in that safety deposit area. Now, whatever you do, do not pay up front. Some people will ask for 30% up front. It does not matter how nice they are or how great they are. Do not pay up front. I've paid people up front 30%, and 100% of those people ran away with my money, and I lost my money just because of that. Nowadays, I do not pay up front. I've paid people up front even after doing projects with them twice, and some of them have run away with my money. So just do not pay up front at any rate. That's what I like about rentacoder.com is it has a lot of mediation, so people actually look out for you. Scriptlance.com has escrow, but you're really on your own just because the support is not that top notch. With that in mind, you can go about creating your own software easily and lower your costs at the same time.